These power supplies are making a noise that I'm not too sure about, but I'm gonna roll with it. No, it's like something's burning. Hey guys, it's Tanya with the Factory 10. They said, get a UV DTF printer. This is what you want to do, get in the transfer business. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure. So our UV has been down now for 4 days. I am now on my way to the store to go get some supplies, so that hopefully these parts that we finally got from the printer are going to fix it. Time will tell. Okay, y'all, we're back. We got our ratchet, left it in the house. We're now off to Lowe's to get a bit for this piece, because the space where we have to change, y'all forgive me, I'm trying to get my phone down here. The space where we have to change or take we're changing 2 power supplies today, and that space is pretty tight. So we need it's called a right angle screwdriver or ratchet screwdriver to get that out. Hold on, I'm gonna get my phone situated, because I tell you, it's something. All right, so we're gonna show you all how we have to change this power supply. So about 4 days ago, our UV DTF stopped heating the rollers, which helps melt the laminate onto the print images so that you can transfer the images to whatever your substrate is. And it stopped heating up. It just started cooling down out of nowhere, and we're like, oh my God. I was hoping that I had did something to hit a button, but no. So I say all this to say, like, y'all, whenever you think about signing up for this print world, yes, it's fun and exciting. It has its highs and its lows, but the lows definitely are when the machines go out. If you're not prepared to become an electrician, to be a mechanic some days, to even feel like a GC, like you having to construct stuff, don't do it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Find you a good printer, someone who was crazy like me and signed up to do this and print transfers, both DTF and UV DTF, because it's not for the weak, right? But I do say, if you want to get into it, make sure to just do your research. Make sure you're getting a machine from a reputable company, that you are able to get the support that you need from that company in terms of getting the machine up and running, as well as whenever you encounter issues. Keep in mind, the majority of these machines, guys, are made overseas. Most of them come out of China. I think all of them actually right now, but there may be other places where they make them. But so that means that even the individuals and manufacturers here that are selling them, the companies that are selling them, are reliant on those overseas manufacturers to provide them with the information that they need on how to support them and or when they hit problems, right? They do learn the machines and learn how they make them and all of that stuff, but that does not mean that they are automatically experts on these machines. So keep that in mind whenever you're vetting the machine that you want to get. I do encourage, though, if you want to get into this print world, that you get a commercial machine. There are a lot of advantages to having a commercial machine and a lot more nightmares to not having a commercial machine. So one of the advantages around that is because you're going to create less maintenance for yourself. Non-commercial machines require way more maintenance because they have more, need more manual attention, right, every day. And so, especially if you're converting machines for the DTF side, so be cautious about that. There are plenty of videos and articles on converted machines. So again, I just encourage you to do your research and make sure you know what you're getting into whenever you decide, if you decide to go that route. Again, different strokes for different folks, so do what you feel like works for you. I will say though, also speed is a factor whenever you're getting a smaller machine, especially a non-commercial machine, versus when you get a commercial machine and or a bigger commercial machine, right? But don't get into a big commercial machine unless honestly you want to print transfers and sell them, or you have such a high volume that doing just custom work or a lot of bulk orders, then it's probably not worth it, right? Because commercial machines are expensive. We're talking 20,000 plus, right? So anyways, and that's on both the UV and the UV DTF and DTF side, right? But today we're highly focused on UV DTF because that's the machine that has been down now for 4 days and we need to fix it. UV DTF, some UV DTFs just run off of CMYK. Our UV DTF, the reason you can get such vibrant, bright colors is our UV DTF run off of CMYK plus light magenta and light cayenne. So it adds in a different additional element to the printing to heighten the colors and make them more advanced. But what I was saying about the print colors is, yes, so there's different color print variations for UV DTF, so keep that in mind whenever you're vetting which machine you want to get if you decide to get into UV DTF printing. I honestly don't know what I'm getting into to change out these power supplies. There's 2 power supplies on this UV machine, and y'all see that later whenever we get the parts in and we go to change them. But the reality is, it is what it is, and we have to try to do what we can do. Most of these machines and most suppliers, they don't come with service calls. There are not a lot of people in the industry in most areas that work on these machines. So again, prepare yourself to be an electrician, a mechanic, all things of above, as well as a printer. So not only do you need to understand how to print and create quality images and quality prints, but you also need to understand the inner workings and mechanics of your machines. And you do need to do maintenance and cleaning and stuff. And cleanings, they're hard whenever you're running a lot of transfer orders, but it's important that you train your staff or you train your own self to make sure to incorporate those maintenance points as a part of your daily routine. Super duper 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 important. I can't stress that enough. Okay, so make sure you are taking care of maintenance as necessary for your machines. So I'm gonna stop talking for a bit and we're gonna go just take a drive, and we should probably be at the Lowe's here in a few minutes, but of course I'm gonna fast forward through that part. Okay guys, we're about to go into the Lowe's and look for this part. Okay, we're going into the Lowe's now to look for the ratchet screwdriver. It says it's on aisle 59, bay 3. We're gonna find out. It's pretty inexpensive, so we'll see what we get in here. we spend more time in our local hardware store than we like to sometimes with these machines, but it comes with the territory. So again, make sure you know what you're signing up for, y'all. All right, we're so familiar with the tool store, it's ridiculous. All right, so we're on aisle 59. We gotta find bay 3, 4. Oh, 3 is here. Let's see where. Oh no, just ratchet screwdriver. That's what I'm looking for. The right angled Craftsman. It's got like the little bits to it.
Do you have a?
I do have a picture. Hold on, guys. We'll be right back. Sizes. Thank you. I appreciate your help. All right, guys. So we got our screwdrivers. We got 2. We got a what's called a 3-piece screwdriver set. And we got our ratcheted offset screwdriver. So we're gonna check out and we're gonna head to the shop and we're gonna get these repairs underway. So just stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay guys, we're out of the store. We've bought our ratchet screw set and we brought our little, I guess they're like angled screwdrivers. Don't give me the line about the names of these tools, y'all, because I'm not the expert in that space. But I am an expert in all these other things that we have to do now with these machines. So I'm gonna get back in the car. I'm gonna head over to the shop, and then I'm gonna come back once we start working on the machine. All right. So we're still waiting on the part. So hopefully it'll come soon. All right. Be right back. Hey guys, so we're back, finally. We got the parts in, and this thing is what we're gonna change, both of these. It's 2 power supplies to see if this will get the heating element back to working. Now, y'all, I thought I needed ratchets and all these other screws. I honestly probably don't. I misjudged how it was screwed in here, and I actually have to take out this whole panel because it's really attached to this panel and it's screwed to it behind here in this little tiny slot where you see me stick my hand. Yeah, a nightmare. So it's not what I thought. But before we started this, we turned this machine off. It has a breaker, so we turned it off with the breaker and we unplugged it. Safety first, guys, when you're dealing with electricity. We also took lots of pictures of how these wires are in here because we need to know how to put it back together. Remember, you didn't build the machine, so you need to make sure you know what you're doing to put it back together, all right? So we're gonna get these screws out of here to get this panel off and start there. We got, looks like 4 screws to take out. Now, I'll show you guys in a minute. The challenge with one of these screws, oops, and I need to go get my magnets and magnetize the screwdriver. So hold on a second, I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. Got my screwdriver that's magnetized. Because there's some little screws, I don't want to lose anything. Although there's not much, if it falls, it's falling inside this cabinet here. So it's not gonna be that bad. And I also cleaned off my space up here because we got a lot of screws and I want to make sure that I keep everything sorted out how it should be. All right. And these little screws, they actually don't stick that well to this magnet, but just to show y'all, this is a magnet screwdriver. These screws just don't stick that well to it. So anyways, we'll move on. I'm gonna get this top one out. And actually, like, I might not, yeah, we gotta take it out. I was looking to see if maybe I didn't have to take out all 4, but yeah, that's not gonna work because then I'd be bending up my cabinet here. So we're gonna get those out. Get this one, put my hand down here. It's probably gonna fall out. See if I can get my screw in there to grab it, a magnet. Oops, and it fell. All right, so this is where we don't wanna, let me find this screw. I'll be right back, guys. All right, so we're back. We found the screw. Okay, so this, I've gotten 3 of them out, but I wanted y'all to see that on this last one, it's actually got it's screwed into a wire down here, if you can see that. So, yeah, screwed into a wire. So we got to unscrew the wire. and the screw, which is another reason why pictures are important. Let's put that magnet back up there. That was loud. All right. So now that we've gotten that loose, we now have access to the back, which is where these power supplies are screwed into. Who would have thunk? Y'all, the things they come up with on how to make these or make these systems is absolutely amazing sometimes. Well, also, before we can take those off of the panel, we do have to unscrew all the wires from the power supply. Thinking about that now and how this panel is held, I probably would have unscrewed the wires first had I been thinking. So now there's just me here. And I think I'm going to actually screw one of these screws back in to keep my panel steady while I take the wires out the power supplies. So give me a second here. Let me get this screw back in. We're learning as we go, guys, but hopefully whatever mistakes we make along the way, y'all will not have to endure if you have this machine. So this is the Caldesi 24H 3R UV DTF. And I'm going to make sure I keep my screws separate so that I don't get them confused on what goes where. Now, the good thing about how this is set up, I will say that the wires like sit right there together, but there are a couple places where you got double wires. So the green and yellows double up. So you got to remember. So again, take pictures. If you're like me, your short-term memory is bad. You might forget as you start unscrewing everything. And we're going to have to unscrew both sets at the same time. This is not like, unless you were just replacing one power supply. In our case, we're doing both. They do have these wires labeled. I'm trying to see if they're the same labeling on the top and the bottom. So the bottoms are 24V, looks like, and the tops seem to be a little different labeling. So that might help too if you're looking at your labels to figure it out. These screws are taking a little bit of arm power here. You also want to make sure you know which one is on top. They do have these kind of bent over, so it's kind of easy to tell. But again, take a picture if for some reason you feel like you're going to forget, all right? It is a lot of wires, y'all. And I'm just stacking sets of screws together so I'll know which ones are by which power supply. Now, your new power supply does have screws in it, I believe. So not a big deal if you misplace one of these. So I'm just going to unscrew these. I'll probably speed the video up in this part. Okay, guys, I had stopped for a minute because I realized there's more double wiring down at the bottom And so I needed to make sure I knew which wires went with which wires, right? It doesn't look like that when you're first snapping the picture, but there are more. And then I left one out up here at the top. So, all right. I don't want to mix up any wires, y'all. This is serious stuff. All right, so I've got all the wires loose. And now I'm going to take this screw back out so I can remove the panel and replace the power supplies. Alrighty. All right, so now we're down to the power supplies, and they're connected to this panel. So I'm going to move over here, and I'm gonna I got my power supplies sitting over here. Two that came, as you can see, they're just like the ones that are on there. It's important to make sure you're replacing the exact same parts. And I'm going to get this plastic off of here. That's one. Open our other one. Sorry if it keeps getting bright. My little lights here keep cutting out. They might be going dead. All right. So we got two. All right. Over there. And now we're going to get this off the back. These are mounted with the screws, and I'm going to do one at a time so I can just mount one back, right? Looks like there's 4 screws mounting each power supply. Each power supply does have 4 holes on the back, as you can see there. And I got my little thing here keeping my screws. These are tiny screws, y'all, so make sure you're in a space where if something falls, you're going to be able to find it. That's for sure. All right, we got all the screws out. So now we're going to move back over to our machine. Okay, guys, we're back at the machine. Now it's time to reassemble. We want to make sure we have it in the right way, first of all. So we're going to start there. And we're going to pull these wires up and get this tucked back in there. We're going to put a screw in for a panel. Alrighty. Now, I got that top screw in up there on that side, but remember this bottom screw had a wire that went through it. So I've got this wire. I'm going to put my screw through the wire and get that going. Got our panel back on nice and secure. Now we're going to start reattaching the wires. Don't forget, you got certain places where the wires are doubled up. So you're going to make sure that you get them in the right spots. Okay. This top one, there was only one doubled up wire. It was the green and yellow. The bottom, there's a few. So got to make sure you keep that in mind. Also, make sure you do have these screws tight. You don't want to go like so tight you strip the screw, but you need to make sure they're tight so that the wires are touching the power supply. It's power. Anybody knows anything about electricity? I don't know that much, but metal on metal is how we get the current flows, right? So we do need to make sure the wires are touching the inside metal pieces of the power supply. And these screws, ensure they are by holding them tight. I was a daddy's girl. My husband's an electrician by trade. Okay, we're down to the bottom one, and I'm just trying to make sure I got all my wires lined up here. Because again, as I said before, there was quite a few spaces that were doubled up. So I'm going to take a pause moment here and check my picture to make sure I got this right. Okay, guys, I'm back. I not only checked my picture to make sure I got these wires right, but I also went and got a little stool so I can see how to get these wires in better and a little bit faster. Got those all back in. As you can see here, they're all screwed into the power supply again. I'm going to pause 1 second, double check my top power supply picture because I didn't do that a minute ago. And then we're going to power the machine back on and see if we get some heat. All right, y'all. So I double checked my pictures to make sure I had all my wires right. That's super important. You don't want to power this machine back on and have it wired wrong. You're going to create more problems for yourself. So definitely important to make sure you got it powered, got everything put back together correctly. All right, so we're going to get up here, and before we close this up, because I also may need to test if it's not working, some of the voltage for the support people to just figure out what's what. All right. So I'm going to plug it back in first in the wall here, and then I'm going to flip the breaker on the machine. For anybody thinking about this machine, please note it does run on 240 voltage, so you are going to need a special outlet. All right, flip our breaker back on. You also leave these machines on at the breaker. you're just turning off some inside things. And we have power, okay. These power supplies are making a noise that I'm not too sure about, but I'm gonna roll with it. No, it's like something's burning. Okay, y'all, we got something burning. So that's not good. So I turned it off quickly because something is burning up. All right, so it looks like we're gonna have a part 2, y'all. We'll be back.
9 hours later.
Hey guys, so it's now, how many hours? 9 hours later from where I smelled something burning. And I said we'd have a part 2. So we will have a part 2. But while I was advising that y'all make sure you have the wires in right, I did all of that. But you also got to make sure you got the power supplies in the right spot. So I had swapped the power supplies. Not intentionally, because at first sight, they both look exactly the same. What I didn't bother to do is pay close attention to that they had different numbers and 2 different sets of amperage. So I swapped them. I had the low amps voltage on the one that should be the high wires voltage, and then I had the high one on the one for the low. So my 42, the high one, is probably, power supply is okay. The 24 one I definitely burned out. But I not only burned out my power supply, but I burned out my motherboard, control board power supply. Yep. So spent 9 hours unscrewing the machine, taking it apart practically to route a wire all the way to the other side to figure out what was burning up. And turns out it was the mother control board. So we'll have a part 2. Now I have to wait on 2 new power supplies and the mother control board so we can change everything out now. And still see if we get the heating element to work, because those still might not fix the heating element. So stay tuned for part 2 to come in a few days as soon as we get the parts. Bye, guys.